All right, welcome back to episode 13 of my Age of Wonders 3 Starting Army Only Challenge series. And I have succeeded. I killed the 5th AI. So a few turns ago, I took out their capital. I hadn't yet seen the leader, but I had went down through the entrance, spotted the capital, took it out, and have been looking around here, taking out cities, trying to coax them out. And on the turn over, they attacked me, which is crazy. I do not know why they think they would have won. Maybe they're just see the writing on the wall. So they attacked me here, and it was easy peasy, right? With just a single stack. So my leader wasn't even on this helping with Divine Justicars and all that, right? We were not expecting them to attack us. So we have won on turn 73. And it's great. So since this is the last episode, we got to recap the series, right? So what are the broad strokes? We started here, capital city. Vassal, took them over, vassalized them, sent a builder, vassalized them. I think defeated them and then vassalized, vassal, and then from here, we kind of went like here, killed an AI, killed an AI, went underground here, and then killed an AI. I think that's the approximate path. Master Cartographer was wonderful. That helped me plan my movement really efficiently. Vassalizing was really helpful because it allowed me to have, they've, enemy forces from the 5th AI in particular started to do a pretty good job of decimating my capital and vassals, but it was way too late for them, right? So a lot of these held on forever. In fact, it was a lot better than my prior 2 series where they were really starting to eat into my vassals. So that really helped with keeping mana up nice and comfy. Of course, when I was starting to hasty plunder, that kept mana up really good too. Is there any battles of note? Just piecemeal, taking out units. Easy peasy. Done much harder than that. An alternative hero. Yeah, so just they did not put up an impressive fight at all. So where did we end up? Hasty plundering and scorched earth were really helpful. Let's talk about my leader, which not much has changed with. Got a nice mount very, very late in the game, but that fire and blight flying is great. We've talked about all these items already, but in case you are just watching this episode and haven't seen the prior ones, I'll do a brief spin because it is a recap. So 80, 13, 15, the innate buffs and the grant frozen frames for additional buffs. Bard skills, everybody in my army was super happy. So even in disliked or hated terrain, you're still getting amazing morale. This for himself, even if he went down, first strike, mostly for the shock protection. So these, mostly because of this, which everybody loves this armor, right? But excellent resistances. Could swap on this for extra range damage, could swap on this for extra debuff if I didn't need to worry about making sure the shock protection was uptight. Additional shock protection if I needed. I used this earlier for inflict weekends, some different range damage options. So that is them. Bestow Iron Heart, Touch of Faith, healing. Giving chaplain to everybody, aura to everybody, sacred arms to everybody, monster slayer, holy champions to everybody, undead, strong will, divine justicars. The bard skills from the harp, skeeker from the helmet, first strike from a thing, resurgence from this. And I guess does he give divine justicars for himself? I felt like the leader can't divine justicars themselves. So that's why I like having that on them. In terms of spells, dispel killer instinct, use this occasionally, use this rarely, use this occasionally, use this occasionally. Situationally, love this spell. This is great for machines used at once. Mass Bless is great for bumping things. Never ended up needing this, but useful sometimes, and Holy War is useful if it won't get disjuncted. Ended up spamming this a lot late game. It wasn't crucial, but it just made for better quality of life. Ended up doing this once I had plenty of mana. I was like, yeah, help my vassals grow faster and bring in more resources. So I would have started doing this a little bit earlier had I made the connection, but I know this now. Great thing. This was good if you can afford the mana, just to help with the, like I was getting lots of tributes from folks. I could have also been more aggressive with terraforming stuff. Like I could have gone into that and used some of the mana to terraform, but I didn't even bother terraforming to please my vassals to get more of those special resource events. It was okay. What was essential? Divine channeling helped with casting points. Go through these to get to this. This is essential for the strategy. This helps a lot with the healing span. Went through this to get to that. Went through this to get to Master Cartographer, which was essential. Yeah, and it's nice that most of my units were devout so that they could take advantage of the Mark of the Heretic in battle. So I think that's all the stuff there. I was working on Blessing of Health at the time. Yeah, but didn't really much need anything else. So I think that's it for spellage. That's for upgrades. Where did I end? Champion 15, 225 HP. Really fun. Really, really fun. 13 defense, 12 resistance. Champ 15, 14, and 13. So on the 15, 206 health on a Storm Sister. Just takes so much abuse, especially because of the total awareness. They cannot get flanked. Shock protection, not getting stunned, dishing out stuns, devout for some additional damage sometimes. The healing, of course. The stunning touch was situationally nice. Some good shock. And this is 12 instead of 11 because I got that. What is that called? You can see a bunch of Beacon of Faiths that I put up because I just had so much mana to spare. Ended with 2 builders. When you start to hasty plunder stuff, it can hurt your governess stuff with other races. Wasn't really hasty plundering elves because I wasn't up against elves really. I did reach champion level on race governance, so this was really nice to top off their stuff towards the end. In terms of who did what, my enemies all got this, though I was the first to level 15. I happened to hit Primeval, even though I was like slightly good from all the vassalizing early. I eventually went Primeval because of all the hasty plundering. And then Master Smith, of course, nobody hit all knowing. And I think that is it, right? I covered all of the things. So yeah, like I said last time, yeah, you can see how many. I plundered 13 cities, scorched earth a bunch of times. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. You can see how many times I vassalized folks. I thought it would be harder, but I think it's because I was just really efficient with movement, and I took them out before they could really snowball. And so I don't know if I did this again. Would it be just as smooth? I think it depends on what AIs you're up against, how quickly you can get to Cartographer, And of course, I was super careful not to lose any units, because if you lose units, that's going to hurt you, because you can only use and start with those 6 military units the whole game, right? These 6 military units were the only ones I used the entire time. But it was super fun to just stack and stack and stack levels. And that's one thing different from the hero challenge. When I did the all heroes challenge a few ones ago, for that one, I could only use hero units, and they can get up to 15, right? I didn't increase the cap on that, and that's fun. But once your heroes hit 15, you can't capitalize on the additional experience, right? Whereas with rank and file units like these, you can keep soaring into champion levels and just keep getting so much health, which was a lot of fun, just a lot of fun. Speaking of that, you may want to see them in action a bit. So I can't. So you can see how I do this. I was not worried about this battle at all. I was not following best practices. So I was like, here's my buffed unit. Try and run into this, just to see how well this 2613 would do. Again, he's got doing nice damage, and you put the instant wrath on him, so it's even more painful. So they're like, hell no, I'm going to run away from this. So, dealing out plenty of damage, and they're doing so little that the life drain is coming back. I've got the tireless boots, so they keep life draining. Right, because I covered all of this, right? The life drain and those boots and all of this. Yeah, so I talked about that. So. And they wised up, and they're like, we're getting away from this guy. So they sent a few guys. And I was like, whatever. So easy people. Easy. Super. What's in that stack? I can't move, I guess, because this stuff is done. I really wonder what's in that stack, though. So yeah, it was a fun challenge. I recommend it to folks. I think once you have a good grasp of the game, it's a very reasonable challenge, and it's nice in that it keeps things simple, right? When you only have to manage 6 units, movement is simple. The number of units you're juggling in a battlefield is simple. The goals are simple. The strategy economically is pretty simple, since you can't defend cities, so it's just like, meet a bunch of cities and vassalize them, and hopefully they don't die super early, so they can keep giving you resources and race governance and stuff like that, right? So it's a really fun challenge, and I have no idea what I'm going to do for my next challenge. I thought this would be the penultimate most difficult challenge yet, but the 40 turn head start challenge series I did against the 5 enemy AI, that is by far the hardest challenge I've ever done. That was about 4 challenges ago. Highly recommend that if you want to see me video record everything, hours and hours and hours, something like ridiculous amount of time, many hours. You want to see how I make decisions moment to moment for everything in a situation where I give my enemy opponents 40 turns before I even move out of my base or produce units or anything. That will be a very interesting challenge series to see. Before that, I did a 20 turn head start, which was still pretty smooth. And after that, I did a heroes only challenge where I started with just my 2 hero units and no other military, and ghouled my way up to something like 22 hero units, because I love that Draconian Necromancer combo. So heroes only challenge was a lot of fun. And then after that, I did the single stack challenge, which is like this, but it wasn't like just with this, it was weak starting units only, 2 heroes and 4 rank and file. But for that, I allowed myself to use 6 units of any type at any given time. And so I started with the 2 heroes, but eventually replaced my rank and file with other heroes that offered to join along the way that I thought would probably offer me the greater value beyond other T4s and stuff, rank and files that I might have. So I could have played that a little bit differently, but that wasn't too terribly difficult either. though I really would have appreciated Master Cartographer for the Heroes Only challenge and for the single stack challenge I did prior to this, because it would have made hunting down the capitals much more smoother. But I wised up and got the Explorer specialization. So I definitely do think that it is worth that these specializations are a good idea. I do think that this, if you're going to go up against Machines Are Undead, the Rod is just phenomenal. This is absolutely essential for the Hasty Plunder, and this for the Master Cartographer is excellent. So I think this combination is really great. I think the High Health Theocrat combination is excellent. The Divine Justicars, most importantly, from the class side and from the race side, the fact that if you're going to do weak starting army, your initiates, if you start with 3 initiates, and I think it is possible that if you re-roll the map a bunch of times, sometimes you start with swordsmen instead of initiates, but I think initiates are way better than swordsmen because they can, evolve into tier 2s. And so I think High Elves were particularly good. I think this challenge, excuse me, would be a lot harder for another race. Like I think Draconians are promising in that you can get some units to you can get your hatchlings sometimes to evolve into decent T2 or tier 3 units like flyers or elders and stuff. Although, I mean, crushers and chargers can get the regrowth race governance upgrade, which can be promising, especially if you get a bunch of champion stacks on them. So I think Draconians are interesting, but the other races, I think it would probably be significantly more challenging because you might be stuck with tier 1 irregulars that are just really not that useful. So yeah, I think that could be, if I want to do another challenge, maybe I would do it with a different race. So I'll have to think more about that, but I'll figure something else out. So thank you for checking out this challenge series, and I look forward to. Hope this was interesting to you. Hope you try replicating it at home if you feel interested in it. Please check out my other challenge series. Please check out my Steam guide where I talk about how to use Draconian Necromancer really well, including for some challenges, but I also have subsections dedicated to these challenges in particular, though maybe at some point I'll create a separate Steam guide for just challenges since I wasn't using Necromancer or Draconian for these last few challenges. So yeah, check out that Steam guide. I have a bunch of tips on all aspects of strategy, especially for the Draconian Necromancer stuff, and I have some handy Google spreadsheets with suggested item forging builds and hero upgrades and stuff like that that are really useful for certain, and I have advice tailored to each specific challenge, but a lot of the advice for like what to invest in for leader, for hero upgrades, and what to forge for, tanky versus flash, tanky versus machine, tanky versus undead, ranged, like I have customized item forge or optimal setups for that stuff, so check that out as well. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one. If you like this, please consider subscribing for more content or liking the video. Thanks a lot.